Late last night, Lance Armstrong, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time, announced that he will not contest charges that he used performance-enhancing drugs. The charges had been brought by the U.S. anti-doping agency known as USADA. Today, USADA banned Armstrong from sport and began the process of stripping Armstrong of his cycling titles, including his record 7 Tour de France victories. Armin Katayan has our story.
At his peak, Lance Armstrong conquered mountains and vanquished the competition. Yet Armstrong was never quite able to outdistance allegations and investigations that his wins were powered by illegal performance-enhancing drugs, despite his denials.
We've proven time in and time out that we're clean.
And his repeated insistence that he's never failed a drug test. But now he's given up the fight. Enough is enough, Armstrong said in a statement released last night. I know who won those 7 tours. Nobody can ever change that. In June, the United States Anti-Doping Agency accused Armstrong and several of his former U.S. postal teammates of being part of a systematic doping program dating back to 1998, including the use of the blood-boosting drug EPO. The case was headed to arbitration, a process Armstrong had blasted as one-sided and unfair. In May 2011, ex-Armstrong teammate Tyler Hamilton told Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes that he repeatedly saw Armstrong use EPO.
I saw him inject it more than one time.
You saw Lance Armstrong inject EPO?
Yeah, like we all did. Like I did many, many times.
Today at a big pro race in Colorado, there was little public comment from the riders, including former longtime Armstrong Lieutenant George Hincapie, who was expected to testify against Armstrong had the case gone to arbitration.
I'm going to make a statement on that in the near future, but for the time being, I want to focus on the race.
As for Armstrong, a cancer survivor, his focus, he said, was now his family and foundation that has helped raise more than $470 million in the fight against the disease since 1997. Peter Flax, editor-in-chief of Bicycling Magazine, says essentially the final wheel in this larger-than-life story is still spinning.
And there are a lot of people that hate Lance and feel, vindictive, and then there are people who will, like, in a faithful way, always support him. And we'll have to wait and see how the legacy's shaped.
It's not yet clear if Armstrong will officially lose his yellow jerseys. Today, the international union in charge of cycling said it wants USADA to explain its decision before rendering Scott one of its own.
Thank you, Armin. Let's get more on this now from the head of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, Travis Tygart. Mr. Tygart, I wonder, what was the best evidence that the U.S. ADA had that Lance Armstrong had doped?
Really, it was the totality of the evidence that made it so compelling and overwhelming.
You say the totality of the evidence. Did you have eyewitnesses, for example?
We did. We had a number of eyewitnesses, confidants who have never, before come forward with information. We had analytical data.
Armstrong called your investigation a witch hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a refrain we've heard from others who have been caught using dangerous performance-enhancing drugs to cheat sports, so it's one we're familiar with, but there's absolutely no basis to it. We make our decisions solely on the evidence to bring a case or not bring a case.
Armstrong was no longer competing in cycling. He'd retired from the sport. I wonder why you felt it was important to pursue this now.
Look, I think it's a sad day for all of us who love sport when one of our heroes is shown to have cheated with dangerous performance-enhancing drugs. But on the other hand, these types of cases send a powerful message to all athletes out there that their decision to play by the rules ethically and principally is an important one and is one that's going to be supported.
Travis Tygart, head of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, thanks very much.
Thanks, Scott.